Hi, I'm Tanya Kavanagh, Executive Director of Teen Challenge Tasmania. Teen Challenge was established in 1958 by Reverend David Wilkerson as he worked on the streets of New York with teenage gangs. Today, Teen Challenge has 1,200 centres in 109 countries around the world, and we specialise in two main areas: drug and alcohol early intervention and rehabilitation, and drug demand reduction. At Teen Challenge, we build fences to turn young people away from the cliff of addiction. As the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, we know firsthand the devastation that drugs reap on individuals, families and communities. Teen Challenge have partnered with Dalgarno Institute and created the Not Even Once project. Using a creative pedagogy, the demand reduction program combines coalface experience with current medical and scientific evidence, educating young people, parents, teachers and community members to build a foundational context and empowering them to make positive choices for their futures.
Have a look at what's not reported. Australia has the lowest rate of daily tobacco smoking in the world. Around about 100,000 people give up cigarette smoking every year, but another 100 take it up. And guess what age group that is? 12 to 25-year-olds. Yes, that's your age group. Around about 90% of secondary students have never tried an illicit drug. Okay, around about 64 to 72% of young people actually choose not to drink alcohol.
And I want to just go through some of the common statements that we hear from people. It'll be fun, it's overrated, there's no risk there involved. So that means that they're starting to dabble in using, might be cannabis or it could be just alcohol. It shows them that someone's in the stage 1, but they're not really seeing any effects to it. This is stage 2. They're using reasonably regularly, but they're setting boundaries around it. So they're setting rules for themselves. So I'm only going to use it on the Saturday night. I'm only going to use it when I go to a party. So they're trying to keep it under control. The drugs have already taken control of them. The boundaries that they were starting to put on in the parties, well, now it's not just the parties. It's on the night after school or the morning just to go to school. When I hear someone say that, they're in stage 3, and it means that they're in denial. And this last one, this is one of the saddest. So it's when, it won't get me, I'm no loser junkie. Now, I just had a young man say exactly this to me on Sunday. He's tried to commit suicide 3 times. He's doing methadone, but on top of that, he's doing cannabis and he's doing ice. But he's still using those words because he's hanging around with people that are even worse than he is. So he doesn't see the effect that this is having on his life.
We've got some tips and hints on preventing this stuff from ever entering your life. So take your own water to a party. Never ever take water off somebody else, or not even from a friend. The first thing to do before you open a water bottle is just to check to see whether or not it's been tampered with. To check the seal if it's been opened, not already, and either turning it upside down, just giving it a quick squeeze to check if anything has been injected into the bottle, particularly around the neck region.
Your fully grown brain weighs about 2 kilograms and it uses 33% of all of your kilojoules. True or false? 3, 2, 1. True. Wow, there's some new knowledge for you.
Cigarettes were the first thing that I was introduced to. Alcohol and cigarettes, drinking, smoked pot, mushrooms, ecstasy, anything I could get my hands on and swallow. Prescription drugs, liquid acid, heroin, cocaine, Percocet, Percodan, Vicodin, Valium, and then God knows whatever the marijuana was laced with.
Your brain at 20, I would think this is a 70-year-old's brain.
Teenagers, adults, they have no clue that when they're smoking pot, they're actually damaging their brain.
Everything that I saw in school about it, I found out one day that it's all true and it's all happening to me.
When your brain works right, you work right.
I'd like to just be able to think normally. What we're looking at here is a healthy brain.
I'm just worried that my brain cells are going to be gone and they're never coming back.
And this is a cocaine brain. So the real question is, which brain do you want?
Now, the hippocampus damage. Now, as we saw in the video a moment ago, it showed the brains with like holes, looks like holes in the brains. And it was showing that that's damage into areas of the hippocampus. Now, as he explained, that section of our brain deals with memory. We see in young people like 15, 16, 17 years old that are using cannabis, and they're using it heavily, that their memory is exactly like talking to someone in their 70s with Alzheimer's.
The struggles in my life were acceptance and rejection, starting from a young age of losing my best friend. A friend's older brother gave it to me, and I thought it mustn't be that bad because he was handing it to me. And the high was like nothing I've ever experienced. And I just thought nothing in this world could stop me. But that's the biggest high that you'll ever get. And then forever you're going to be chasing that high. I would go and chase that for that same high, that same feeling, but it would never happen again. I changed, like lying to my parents. I had to keep up with how the others looked. And if I couldn't afford it, I'll go steal with them. I had no happiness left inside me, and I didn't know who I was anymore. It's like the girl that I knew I was had vanished, and I couldn't find her.
Now let's have a look if we introduce something like drugs into our system. Now, Dr. Eric Nestler from the Yale University, the School of Medicine, says that drugs, if we introduce them into our system, are like sledgehammers. They profoundly alter many neuropathways. So those messages no longer do what they should do. So let's have a look at how that works.
So from 51 seconds, it takes a lot of time of counselling, of having a mentor, of learning why I take drugs, of learning how not to take drugs, of learning which friends I should be hanging around with, for me to get very close to, but not importantly, guys, get this, you will never return back to your 30 seconds.
I didn't know how to put words to what I was feeling, and sadly, I didn't know who I could talk to about it. And I thought that at 15, throwing myself into parties, looking for wrong relationships, being in the wrong crowd, trying drugs, trying alcohol, was somehow going to be the answer to all my problems. But it created more problems than I could actually deal with. Think very carefully about the choices that you're making. Real friends will not push you into the drug scene. So if it is a friend or a peer group that is encouraging drug or alcohol use, then I would say you need to re-examine your friends. The second thing that I would also say to those people considering using drugs or alcohol or experimenting is to think about some of the reasons why you might be thinking about it. Is there something going on in your life that you need to talk to somebody about? We've got alternatives like talking to somebody within the community or within the school that going off into drugs isn't an option anymore.
So let's talk about boredom. How many of you in the last 48 hours have said, I'm bored? Just as I thought, almost all of you. Did you know that you're actually the most entertained generation that has ever existed, yet simultaneously the most bored? And you know what anthropologists say? That boredom has very little to do with a lack of entertainment and everything to do with a lack of meaning.
Thanks for taking the time to view our presentation. We look forward to working alongside you as you become fence builders also, as we help turn our future generations away from the cliff of addiction. Here are our contact details, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.